Hi, guys. John, the firearms instructor, and welcome to our Live from the Range podcast. It is Tuesday night. It is a wonderful day. We had some rain here in Florida. We are having a little bit of internet problems, so you may hear a little bit of us lagging a little bit. I apologize. I don't know what it is. I am hardwired in and it is going back and forth. So we do some kind of buffering. I do apologize up front. Remember, we are a gun range and a gun store, and we're open till 7 o'clock every night. Mr. Jacob is back there doing a class with a lady right now. And so you'll hear some gunshots in the background, but beware. We are a gun store, gun range, and training facility that specializes in you. We want to make you the best you can be and become more proficient and shoot a weapon pretty well. And that's what we do. We train people every day. And that is my passion. There's three things I love besides my family, and that is firearms training, teaching people to shoot, it's hunting and fishing, and we're doing a lot of different stuff now. You know the drill. If you're on here, please comment. Let us know you're here. Let us know where you're from. We are live tonight on Facebook. My Facebook account. We are live on the business Facebook account. We are live on Instagram. We are live on Rumble, and we are on Twitter. So you have an opportunity to find us on any of those. We would appreciate it very much. We have a great show for you this evening. We're going to extend the reviews. This week is a gun that you've heard me talk about many times before, and that is the Smith and Wesson Equalizer. And well, we're going to talk a little reviews on that. Why I think it's probably the best gun to start with and choose from. But that's my opinion, obviously. I put a lot of students and a lot of people into it, and it seems to be holding up pretty well for most of the people, especially for the seniors and the elderly and the women. They need something that's going to work for them no matter what it is and how it works. And obviously, um, that fits a T to a lot of people. So we had a crazy week, right? Biden stepped down. We got the we got the woman going to be president. You should be a little nervous. I know the store has been busy over not owning a firearm. You thought that our friend was somewhat unweapon friendly. What do you think she's going to be like? So we need to make sure that everyone we know that wants to keep their freedom and their 2A freedom, that to make sure that you're getting out and voting as much as possible and letting people know what the scenario is. Kamala is now going to be running as the president as Joe Biden has stepped down. I don't know if you lived under a rock. You didn't know that yet. That's what's happening. The president of the United States, or the ex-president of the United States, took what had assassination attempt against him. The Secret Service really bopped all that up. It just shows you, as everything I've said in my life and everything I keep teaching you guys, you are your first line of defense. By the grace of whoever you want to call, whether it be God or Allah or whatever you want to say, Trump was protected by somebody, because just a turn of the head would made a difference of a live president and one that's not. So something was on his side that day, and everything else failed around him. So someone had to step in and save the man's life. So let's not get too Bible thumpy here, but passion is passion, and security and safety is security and safety. And that man had none that day, none. He was given no protection, which is a shame. I understand that the Secret Service director resigned today, which is um, a good thing, I suppose. But the passion of that job needs to be That whole place needs to be taken care of. Hang on one second, guys. Just 50 bucks, something like that. 40 dollars, whatever she wants, whatever she feels comfortable with. Had a lady that came in just blow off some steam. One of our landlords, our landlord secretary. So we thought we'd take care of her today. Got a couple comments. Let's see what's going on here. See who's here. Chris, welcome, welcome. Ralph, hello, buddy. I'm glad to see you here. I'm glad you guys are all and you're hearing okay. All right, so um, well, let's go ahead and get to this presentation. Today we're going to be talking about the Smith and Wesson Equalizer. It's a comprehensive review of the product. I would like to see some people comment, have they ever shot one or owned one, or have they heard anything that being negative about the weapon? I have done plenty of classes, sold plenty of these, have never had really any problems with them once we educated the student on that backstrap safety. Listen, I'm going to give you, hi Natasha, hi mama, how you doing? I hope you're feeling well. Um, I'm going to give you my opinion on this weapon, not by being biased, but by being sold to. I think I looked last week. I think I I think I looked last week over the number one counting weapon. We have the Glock 43X, which is pretty popular, the 365 from SIG, the Hellcat from Springfield, the Taurus G2, G3 line, the Taurus line there. And I could tell you by looking at my numbers and my inventory, this equalizer way outweighs everything else that's in the market today. I mean, it is a very first, followed up by the 43X, not because the 43X is any worse or better, it's just a popularity thing. A lot of guys come here and want to keep in the Glock family. The trigger of the Glock versus the trigger of the Equalizer, there's no comparison at all, guys. It's a way better trigger. But I could tell you from the youngest has shot this 9 millimeter Equalizer has probably been 12-year-old girl, and the oldest is an old a lady, and I think I've told you before she was covered in quarters with this thing. It's such an accurate pistol without doing much to it, on top of the fact it's got the 3-dot system, which makes it very easy to run. It's got enough weight on it so you don't get a lot of recoil management. So it's got a lot of positives more than there's negatives. Be honest with you, this is probably what I would say to you is your first pistol, and down the road, once you start getting comfortable, then we could get you into something else smaller for the pocket. I told you guys many times before, I carry a little 9 millimeter Diamondback in my pocket as DB9, and it's 7 rounds of 9 millimeter. It's a little thumpy. It's got a lot of recoil management issues that you got to work on. But in long life terms, it's a great pistol, and that's why I like it. Obviously, Jacob carries the Smith and I mean the Ruger Max 380. Jacob doesn't wear a belt, so he actually wears basically either swimming trunks or basketball shorts almost on a daily basis. So he wanted something light. Although when Jacob turned 21, he got his license to conceal, and he's never been without his pistol ever since. So that's kind of saying that when he got him that Max, he just loves that with a 12-round magazine. So I mean, that's a secondary product, not something you buy first due to the fact that you got to run the gun to understand the gun. Something with a 3.6-inch barrel like this weapon has is going to be a lot more easier to become accurate with it. And then once you've got confidence with that, Then you can pull that weapon out and bring that Ruger Max in and be able to use that because most of those 380s are supposed to be shot one-handed anyways. They're not designed for two-handed accuracy. It's not an accuracy gun. It's a vital triangle piece, and that's the idea of it more than anything else. So, as you look at the weapon, it's a beautiful piece. This comes with three magazines, a 15, 13, and 10. It's got aggressive texturing on the top. It's got a nice name there, Equalizer. This model you're seeing here has the safety and it has the backstrap safety. Easy to take down. Nice trigger. It's got the front rail assembly for a flashlight if you're using. I would recommend this probably a great home defense piece due to the fact they have that 15 round magazine. Now remember guys, if you're in a state that doesn't require has a magazine uh, um, magazine challenge or they don't allow high capacity magazines, the equalizer comes with three 10 round magazines. Anywhere else in the United States, you're only gonna be you can do let's not have an high capacity magazine that comes with 15, 13, and 10. So there, I already said that. Let's go to the next screen. The equalizers features. They are the one thing I will tell you about this weapon is it easy racking. This is in the easy family. If you don't know what the easy is, Smith and Wesson made a gun called the EZ. It was easy racking, easy loading. It actually had a magazine cheater bar on it that made the 9mm magazine. The problem with that gun is with this world that we live in high capacity, it only had 8 rounds in it. So that kind of some people just don't like having little rounds on it. It has slide cut for optic, reversible magazine releases, ambidextrous safeties. If you there are safeties on both sides of the gun. It comes with a loaded chamber indicator, crisp single action trigger with audible reset, optimal grip for allowing you to use the user to manage recoil. The grip has a little texture to it, not too much, but just enough. If any weapon is in your hand and you feel it scratching your hand, you're probably not holding on the pistol strong enough. Remember, for the women, it's a push and a pull. With the men, it's driving with your chest muscles. These weapons should never wiggle in your hands. You only use your hands to control it. Your dominant hand holds on to the weapon. Your non-dominant hand controls the weapon, and that means you got to give a little more power with your non-dominant hand than your dominant hand, and it should not be wiggling in your hand to cause you to be sandpapered up. Picatinny rail style for flashlight or laser. It's got an 18-degree angle. This is something when you put in the hand of most people, they just go, "Oh yeah, that feels good." And that's kind of that neat little feature that Smiths put into this. It does take apart without pulling the trigger. Glocks are notorious for taking it apart. You must pull the trigger to take it apart, which cuts the sear off that thing and allows it to cut. Not that anybody's ever had a problem with that, but anytime you're pulling the trigger to take a gun apart, you got to be pretty disciplined to make sure the weapon is unloaded. It's got Armalite, durable, corrosion-resistant finish. That's one thing I would say about Smith& and Wesson products and the Glock products. Those finishes that are on there, they you could carry them for years and years and years and not have any real issues with them. There are a few manufacturers that mix an alloy that doesn't hold up as well. When you're wearing a gun on your body or in your pocket, sweat's getting on it, and with that sweat with salt, and then you could get a finish that could get rusty pretty quick if you don't clean it on a regular basis. You don't think, well, I don't need to clean it's in my pocket, but your pockets get a lot of dust and dirtiness and sweat in there because most of your pockets are touching your skin one way or the other. So that armor light finish is a pretty neat finish. It's not a deep blued finish. It's sort of satiny, so it doesn't really show a lot of scratches or anything else like that. Now this comes with a Maglula, I always Maglula Uplula loader, and this works for all kinds of pistols, not just the Equalizer's pistol. And the reason why they put that in there is because it doesn't have the simple, easy cheating bar like the EZ, but that loader will allow you to load up to the 17 rounds, not a problem. And the easy grip, it's got an easy to grip deep front and rear serrations. I'm not much on grabbing the front of the gun to rack it, but definitely those serrations do help and give some texture and some foundation for you to grab a hold to when you're racking it back. Overall, it's got a lot of positives on it. All these things are. If you get an opportunity to shoot one, you would be very happy with it. We'll talk about some of the negatives as we go here, but it's definitely a one you need to put in your hands. Let's just say that. All right, so what's the specs on it? Well, it's a 9 millimeter. Don't make it any other thing at this point in time. It is made optic ready. It has raised fronts and rear sights that work well with a red dot. These take the crimson trace, the the all kinds of different red dots. You don't need to go high end with it. You should buy the best red dot you can for it that'll hold up. The Holosuns are a good choice for this as well. They make them green, they make them red. I'd highly recommend if you're going to put a red dot on a pistol like this, stick to the green as much as possible because in daylight use you'd be able to see the green. In red, red goes away pretty quick. Now, in states where there is no capacity laws, you get a 10 round, a 13 round, and a 15 round magazine for this gun. If you're in a state that only allows 10 rounds, you'll get the weapon with three 10 round magazines in it. A little caveat to that, guys. Keep in mind when you see something that says 10 plus one or 15 plus one, you could put your 10 round magazine in the weapon, rack the slide. Now you have nine in the magazine and one in the chamber, or you can put one in the chamber, take your magazine out, and put another one in, and then you have 11 rounds. That will work for you. That's pretty simple and easy to do, and that would make you legal as well. These are considered not compact, but not single stack and not double stack. These are called micro compacts because they are thinner in the hand than most weapons. But the magazine, they serpentine in there instead of putting any kind of double stack, which is side by side, or single stack, which is on top of each other. The barrel is 3.675 inches. It's only 22.9 ounces, which is very lightweight, but enough weight that's going to help you with recoil management. It only comes in black right now. The width of it is about 1.4 inches. The length of it is 3.76, and then the height is, and that's from the base plate all the way up to the top of it without having the magazine in it. This is 4.5. Um, this is a carry piece. It can be carried, can be used for home defense, can be used for range time. It's an overall winner when it comes to that stuff there. A lot of people are coming in nowadays and they only want to buy one pistol. And I giggle and laugh about it because I'm sort of the man, the crack man when it comes down to weapons. Once you get one and start shooting it and getting comfortable, and a husband and wife buy one, well, obviously she's going to want hers or he's going to want his. So that becomes two. And then we start talking about the ARs, and then we talk about the the 9 millimeter carbines like the uh, uh, FPC or the any of that stuff like that. So just an add on. Anytime you buy a weapon, just remember every weapon I buy, I've got to have ammo for it, and I got to have enough ammo for it in case there's a shortage. So remember, Every firearm, you should have at least 500 rounds at home for each firearm. So if you start getting a rifle that shoots 9 millimeter, like a carbine, pistol carbine that shoots 9 millimeter, and you get two or three pistols that shoot 9 millimeter. Well, guess what? All you have to do is order 9 millimeter from now on. But if you got one with 40, one with 357 SIG, one with 45 ACP, one that's all great and wonderful. But you only have two hands, and you're only going to shoot one at a time. So get the one that you're going to be able to control, that you're going to be able to have the highest capacity in. That's the one thing about 9 millimeters. Most of them are high capacity. One of the little things that is a little cool thing, though, is Smith had the smarts and the wherewithal to make that 15 rounder in the Equalizer's magazine universal for some of the other Smith and Wesson products, like the Smith and Wesson Shield Plus. The Shield Plus is a 3.1-inch barrel, but it only used to be 10 rounds and 13 rounds. Now you can use this Equalizer's magazine and stick it in that 15 rounder into the Shield Plus and get you extra rounds there. So that's kind of cool feature that Smith did. Thank you, Smith and Wesson. All right, so Smith and Wesson Equalizer, what's it known for? Exceptional ergonomics, and this is so important in the firearm industry. If you know when you go in and you go to the shoe store, you go anywhere else and you pick up something and it feels right or it feels good in your feet, that's good. That's going to make it easier for you than anything else. Smith and Wesson Equalizer features an aeronomical design that fits comfortably in various hand sizes. This is the key because if you're like yesterday, I had a husband and wife, young couple, young great couple. She's a little short thing, and he was tall and big hands. I had to look up at him through this whole thing. I felt so small. Um, the scenario is, but that gun fit in her hands just perfectly, and his hands too. So that's the cool thing about this, that you're not having to buy one gun for him and one gun for her. Obviously, it's going to come. Trust me. But this was easy for both of them to run. She was stacking them yesterday, man. She stacked them with all the pistols I gave you. They were natural shooters. That's a common thing. Some people just get it, and some people walk in and they don't even know they've got it. And she was putting stacking them with the 43X, and I thought, boy, you like this pistol. Wait to shoot this one. And she was doing quarters with the other one. So I can tell you, um, it it is the student, but sometimes it is the pistol, if that makes sense. This is an accurate, smooth shooting, great trigger. It's got all the bells and whistles you need, guys. So ergonomics. Smith& Wesson is known for its safety mechanisms. This is equipped with various safety mechanisms. There is the thumb safety, which we're all familiar with. The arrow's pointing at it. Thumb up, thumb down. Here's a little thing I'll tell you. Take the safety, knock the safety down to knock the bad guy down. Safety goes on when it's up, safety goes down when it's off. Not all pistols are like that, but most of them are. So if you have a safety, it must fall down to make the bad guy fall down. And then this has actually a backstrap safety. Now, I don't really sell the safety model unless a student wants it. That safety is a mechanical wing. It's out there. It's a switch. If you turn it on, it's on. If you turn it off, it's off. If it gets hit on or off by accident, you may not know it. You got to, if you want a safety on a firearm, a rifle needs a safety. A shotgun needs a safety because those you can't look directly into the weapon and see if it's empty. And you should always keep your finger off all weapons and assume all weapons are loaded. But with a semi-automatic pistol, once I pull that slide back, I can look in the barrel and I can look all the way through the receiver. I know the weapon is empty at that point in time. So a safety is a mechanical device that can and will fail. We need to make sure we understand that we are or you are the safety on the pistol. No mechanical device can save your life. If I walk over to the light switch today and I turn the light switch off, that light switch is not going to come back on until I turn it back on or someone else does. And there becomes the problem. If we're using a safety as a crutch because we are not the greatest discipline on trigger control, what happens if it gets knocked off on accident while you're carrying it? Then you go pull the trigger on the weapon or put your finger on the trigger on the weapon, thinking I haven't taken the safety off yet, and automatically the weapon fires. So there becomes a little bit, there's nothing wrong with having two safeties on a weapon. Just remember a safety's there and it could impede you from using the weapon, especially if you're not manipulating it all the time. You need to put it in as part of your system. Pick the weapon up, take the safety off, find your target, shoot the pistol, shoot the pistol, shoot the pistol. Then, when you're done, bring it to your chest, get the magazine out. Prior to putting it down, put the safety on, then set it down. So when you go to pick it back up, the safety's on again. Manual safeties are great. They're available in a lot of different stuff. A 1911 style weapon, which is a single action weapon, the only way to have that gun safe is with a safety. That's guns be carried cocked a lot because it not only has a wall safety like this Smith Wesson Equalizer, but it's got the backstrap safety. The problem is when you go those little 1911s like SIG's 238 or the 938 or SIG's Micro, a product of theirs, they don't have backstrap safety. So now you've got a single action pistol with only the wall safety there. So you guys think about the safety yourself. I would highly recommend you realize that you are the safety. No mechanical device is, but they are the safe. It is a very safe pistol. Smith& Wesson Equalizer, superior accuracy, the precision engineered barrel, advanced sight system. They're getting a little carried away on the advanced sight system, but that 3-dot system is probably the better system than the Glock's box and dot system. A lot of elementary areas there. If you put the box in the dot on the Glock, you should have that gun a tad level. The only problem you have is if you put the whole dot in the box, you'll be shooting high with a Glock because that Glock is not designed for that whole dot to be in the box. It's half the dot to be in the box. That's how they were designed to do. It's more about the top of the sights, guys. If you look at this equalizer that you see in front of you now, imagine if you had the front of this gun at any angle at all. Well, that's where the weapon is going. That's where the bullet's going to impact. If you have the front post high and the back post low, it's going to shoot high and vice versa. So we need to make sure level pistol shoots level and keep in mind the sights on a pistol are for your convenience. It's not necessity, especially in the vital triangle target base. 8-inch paper plate at 3 yards, you should be able to hit it without sights. With if you're engaging the trigger properly, we talked about that many times. With point shooting, or fast shooting, or finger shooting, you're not using your sights. You're just using the actual looking through the pistol at the target and visualizing it. I kind of concentrate on that back of the weapon and make sure it's up in my line of sight and the sights are there just for backups, if that makes sense, especially in defensive situation. The vital triangle starts at the shoulders and goes to the groin. Listen to me, in a high stress situation, it's been proven multiple times. the sights go away. You're not even thinking about sights. That's why the red dot shooters and all these other guys are thinking they're going to use those things in a situation, and your mind won't let you. You got to be able to just get yourself in a position where the weapon is level and you're engaging the target in a timely manner. Our job is not to do what you think it is. Our job is to stop the bad guy, not to do anything else besides that. And how many rounds does that take? As many as it takes, but they got to impact the bad guy and nothing else. Can't can't pull the trigger and send a bullet scattering across the Walmart parking lot, or right or left of the bad guy. You need to get yourself in a position that you can be somewhat proficient at these. 21 foot and in is the ideal distances you should be working on a regular basis. If you can shoot a paper plate at 21 feet, 7 yards, well, you're good. If you miss that 7 yards on a regular basis, or you get 1 out of 7 or 1 out of 10, you really need to work at that distance. And it most likely is not the weapon itself, so stop looking at it. It's most likely you're engaging, pulling, over compensating, thumbing the gun, drawing the gun, not driving with your chest muscles, losing control of it, and most of the time it's all about pulling. Pulling the trigger pulls the weapon, and then trigger finger going too far in the gun. If you find yourself shooting low and left, that's all anticipation. That's all weapon over nose and not over dominant eye. If you're right-handed, left-handed, you'd be going to the right. But there's a lot of little stuff. Visit our YouTube channel. There's plenty of videos on how to improve yourself on that. On top of, I do have that ebook, 9.99. Why am I shooting low and left? It's a must have if you're having that problem, and I give you all the secrets to stop you from doing that. If you want to take advantage of that ebook, go ahead and put in there live 2024 at checkout, and you're going to get $5 off, which makes that book only 4.99. All right. So Equalizer, Smith Wesson Equalizer has an impressive magazine capacity. It does for the size of the gun, 15, 13, and 10. I've already told you, if you're in one of the states that have high capacity challenges, you can't have these weapons in there. But the Equalizer is extended for these magazines for extended shooting sessions without frequent reloading, which is crucial for defense and recreational shooting scenarios. And here's what I'll tell you. I see a lot of people go to the range and shoot a hell of a lot of rounds, and majority of the time, about 50% of what they were shooting were good, and the rest of them they were along for the ride. So I would still stick to the 5 rounds apiece. The first 5 rounds in any magazine is the most important. Obviously, in a defensive situation, if it will take 15 rounds, you put 15 rounds in it. Because in a defensive situation, your actually weight's going to weigh. You're not going to be as accurate as you think you are. You're going to be living in a real stressful situation, and you're not going to know how many rounds you're actually going to need. So, definitely. Um, Put the rounds in there, especially for carry purposes. What most of the companies are doing now is the flat mag. The very first one in this magazine is supposed to be your carry mag because it is small enough. The footprint's going to make it small. So when you put it in a holster or put it in anything, it's not really sticking out. Where you see a firearm wearing an inside the waistband holster, is at the handle. It sticks out a little bit further than your waist does if you're thinner guy. So that's why a lot of the thin guys now appendix carry because they can cover their body covers the front side of the gun. Um, and then one in the middle is 13. So you see 10, 13, and 15. Not much difference in size, but definitely higher capacity. And the more you do that, the weight of the weapon changes a little bit. and gives you better control over it as well. So the high capacity is kind of a good thing for this product. Reliable performance. Now, every manufacturer, I don't want to tell you that Smith is the best on this. I mean, every manufacturer in America who brings a firearm from any place needs to pass certain requirements for it to become a qualified weapon. You're not buying from a company you don't know. You're buying from Smith and Wesson, which is American made and then known for the durability and the consistent performance. The equalizer was built to extend withstand extensive use of varieties, conditions, ensuring reliability when you need it the most. Most of us are never going to see a situation where we're going to need a weapon for defensive purposes. But in case you did, this is why we need to spend enough time behind it that everything with a firearm becomes muscle memory for us. We don't need to think about it. I want to ask you guys something. How many of you guys get in a car and go through the routine of how to start the car, how to put the car in drive, how to drive down the road, how to turn the blinkers on, how to put the windshield wipers on? Do you have to you just know it. You don't have to learn that. Even a kid that gets in a car that's new to anything, he kind of gets the idea those levers are for certain things. This is the same thing with you guys. You just got to be comfortable. I had a guy today from China. He just became American citizen a while back, and he one of the things that they didn't get to do in China was shoot a weapon, and he thought he'd been here long enough that he wanted to try it. Now he came in a little nervous. I could tell something way out of his wheelhouse. By the end of that time, he was shooting his equalizer. I let him shoot both. I let him shoot a Taurus. I let him shoot a Glock 43X in the equalizer. And the equalizer, he was just stacking them, and which helps with building confidence if you think about it. And he's signed up for another class. I mean, he's looking to do it. But how, I asked him today, and this is kind of one of those deals. I always deal with people who were been thinking about it for a while and just make the phone call. Then we get to talk to them. Then we get them to sign up. Majority of the time, they think they need 4, 5, 6 classes before they even think about buying a weapon. And by the end of that class, he goes, "Well, I didn't realize I'd learn that much. I didn't realize I would feel this comfortable around the thing." And I said, "Told you, this isn't anything but a tool." I told him he works for a company and he does a lot of computer work. And I said, if I got in your chair today and I tried to do what you do on a regular basis, I would be lost for the first, for a while until somebody helped me figure it out. And that's my job. But once it gets my job, I can't force you to buy one. But the more you go away, he came, he shot, great, wonderful. He set a class for next week, great, wonderful. But as a firearms instructor, we limit them to 3 classes because it's not fair to them for me to help them through this whole process. They've got to we got to cut the umbilical cord. Once I know they've got it and they're comfortable, obviously, if I don't think they're comfortable and I don't think they can do what they need to do, then I'm going to be there for them. But I don't want to make myself the crutch. They won't shoot except with me here. I deal with that with a lot of women, and I have to kind of say, no, no, it's your turn now. You shoot. I'm going to go to the office. I'm going to watch you through the camera. So you'll be by yourself a little bit and run the gun. A lot more confidence doing that when someone's not there behind you holding your hand. You got to do it. And people look at these weapons as if they're deadly. What's a firearm? Is just a tool. Tool needs to be operated. That's it. That's it. And the more you get that concept in your head and realize that I run it does not run me, the more you're going to be happy about it. Reliable performance. I know I get off on those tangents once in a while. You can tell it's my passion when I want to make sure everybody gets the opportunity uh, to to shoot. I mean, that's part of the deal. That being said, guys, most of you can't get here with me. I would love to have every one of you hop on a plane and come down and shoot with us. We'd love that, man. And anytime you had an opportunity, I don't know if you guys remember, you maybe knew the podcast. We had Jim and his wife come all the way from, I'm gonna mess this up, I think. New Hampshire, I think he was from. And Jim and his wife came to Orlando to visit Mickey. Now, from Mickey to me, from Walt Disney World to my store was about 3 hours. And Jim came all the way down with him and his wife to meet me, to see the studio, which is the gun range, right? And, it's kind of one of those flattering things, really, because he wanted to come down this far. And when he got here, I put them both in a class while they were here. They didn't have to pay for it. I did it because I wanted to do it because I appreciated them so much for coming. First time I believe she outshot Jim, obviously. But Jim and her stayed for about an hour, 2 hours, and went home. They took a whole day of their vacation to come down there. That's the least I could do is to do some pictures, give them some swag, and come shoot with us. So you get an opportunity, get your butt here. We'd love to have you. All right. Smith & Wesson's equalizers, the ease of maintenance. There's only 4 or 5 parts here. You got the magazine, you got the frame, you got the spring, you got the barrel, and you got the um the slide. That's it. That's all the parts you have. So it doesn't have 15, 20, 30 pieces that you got to take it apart. What do you clean? You clean the barrel, you clean the spring, you clean the frame itself with a toothbrush, put it all back together. Boom, it's done. Extend your life, prolongs the gun's life, lubricate it a little bit. The ease of maintenance is simple. One of the nice things about these is once you mark that lever on the side of the pistol, and just take it back just a little bit, the slide will come completely off the weapon. Simple and easy. Equalizer is designed for easy disassemble, cleaning, allow the user to maintain their firearm without a minimal effort, thereby prolonging its lifespan. One of the cool things about us is Mr. Jacob, my baby boy, works Sundays when I'm not here. And what he offers is he teaches you to fish. You want to learn to clean a gun, you bring it in here. Mr. Jacob will show you how to take it apart. Mr. Jacob will help you clean it. He's not going to clean it for you, he's going to educate you. Now, we do this for free. Now, Mr. Jacob says he works for tips. So you want to tip him, that's fine. But it doesn't hurt his feelings for you not to tip him, But the idea of it is we teach you to fish, then you'll be able to fish yourself compared to having someone break the gun down and clean it. Majority of firearms guys are meant to run dirty. They never expected the average shooter to take their gun down and take it apart every day. Now, should you, after the break in period, take it apart every time you shoot it? And the answer is yes. Do people do that? No, they don't. They don't change their oil every 3,000 miles either. And that's why the car manufacturers made cars to run longer with older oils in the car. It's one of those deals. But when they break, they break. That's it. Because you didn't maintain it. The more you maintain the weapon, the longer it'll last. It's not rocket science. It's not hard. There's plenty of videos on YouTube that shows you how to break down a weapon and clean it. So it's not that challenging thing about it. So Smith and Wesson Equalizer, or any of the really, I'm not going to say Smith has got the best breakdown methods. Probably Glock has a good breakdown method. Taurus, Ruger, they all have something similar. and they all have something similar to these parts, assembly pieces. There are a few guns like the 1911s, some of the other high points and things like push pins and things like that. But you can't have everything in a pistol. High points probably one of the ones that would be a tougher gun to take apart. But that gun is designed to be ran dirty, dirty. You have to worry about that one. That's one of the street guns. They don't worry about cleaning them. But it's got its durability, it's got its pluses, and it is a doable weapon, right? For price point wise. The guy that built High Point, wanted to build a gun every person could afford, no matter what their income or their job was. And he did that. He succeeded in that. Now, majority of people give High Point a bad name, but 95% of the people who talk about high points have never shot one. Guys and girls, I own a gun store here in Cape Coral. One of my biggest videos that's got the most views besides the equalizer, which has got a huge amount, and the FPC is the high point. High point's the third one. And half the people on that are telling me I don't know what I'm talking about, and half the people are telling me that they own one and it shoots well. It's heavy. It's not an easy gun to clean, but it gives you something for protection purposes. Whether you use a frying pan or an equalizer, meaning the weapon itself, it's better off to have the weapon than just your hands. So, yeah. So Smith doesn't it's not magical, this breakdown, but it is easy to break it down, which is the nice thing about it. Versatility, man. It is suitable for wide range applications. This anytime you get to anything past 3.1-inch barrel, people are going to say, "Hey, that's a bigger piece." I'm going to tell you, in a inside the waistband holster, this will hide just as well as anything else. I've done it. Years ago, we used to carry the Glock. Everyone was carrying the Glock 19 because we wanted that capacity. We wanted all that stuff. But the more we did that, the more uncomfortable it became. You really had to wear a belt when you were carrying a 19. This is just a tad thinner. This actually gives you a little shorter, but it gives you that home defense because the high capacity. It gives you the good trigger for carry purposes and competitive shooting. I mean, we have these Monday night leagues, and Miss Johnson 3 weeks in a row got second place with an equalizer. So, and she shoots the Glock too, but it's got all the great things it needs. Uh, the performance and the capability, the the capacity, all the other stuff that's available. And I don't know if you guys know it, but that picture there showing you the loader, this is the package you get. You get the equalizer, you get the Oopla loader, which is a 9 millimeter loader. Not only does it work on the equalizer, but it'll work on any single stack, double stack, any carbine high capacity block 33 round sticks. It works on all those. So it's a universal mag loader. It comes with 3 magazine, and that is a wristwatch. No, I'm just kidding. That's a that's a swag thing, talking about what it comes with. So, and you put that on your arm when you're shooting, you look cool. I always do that to students when they're in the back. I put that rubber band on their arm. Don't take that off. Mess up your shooting. Advanced technologies. I mean, there are a lot of things that are changing now. The world is changing a lot because we are getting more and more seniors, more women, more couples that are coming in and getting their firearm, and they want to have something that's going to work for both of them. Being able to have that nice trigger and the easy racking and the easy loading and the optic ready capabilities. that you could put a red dot on it first. I think it's the greatest thing ever that Smith doesn't sell these optic ready already. Now they have the performance center they do, and they have a couple ones, but they don't have one you can buy at this point in time with an optic on there. Now they've done that with Smith and Wesson Shield Pluses, but they haven't really put this package together for you. It's coming, don't get me wrong, but I like the fact that you're buying this gun and learning to shoot it first to understand the sight system, and then when you're ready, you can put the dot on it. That's the best way to train, because technically it happens. Dots fail. Your sights on a weapon are there. They're not gonna battery's not gonna be dead on the sights that are on the weapon. Battery will be dead on the red dot. You drop the gun, that glass on the red dot can break. Your sights are not gonna break off that gun. I mean, I'm sure that it could happen, but unlikely. The dots themselves stay white pretty well. Physically, you can see them pretty good. The one thing I can tell you though, Smith used their brain about it, and they put just those sights are just a tad higher. They're not suppressor sights, but they're raised higher. So if you look at this picture, that dot's on that weapon, and those sights will be able to see through that dot in case the battery goes dead or anything else like that. That should be able to co-witness through that dot. Because technically, guys, that dot does not sit directly on top of your front post. It floats a little higher than your front post. But in the realm of things, if the dot were to lose its battery, a couple weeks ago we had a kid shooting a red dot in the back, and the red dot snapped off. It was it was a Glock, and that Glock had been shot tons of times, and you can only take so much of it, and it snapped off. And when it snapped off, it probably bolt broke, one screw broke, and the inertia of the one screw breaking broke the other one and slapped the kid right in the face with it. I walked back just in time, and he looked like he was white as a ghost. He thought he got shot because it hit him right above his eye. So those products can fail, and they are adapted to batteries and rain and fog and all the other stuff. Wholesome's, uh, those products now have solar so they're able to be solar, so it's a little easier. You're not running into battery issues for them. So, well, Holosun is something you look at. The 407s is, I think that's the number, the 407 of the Holosun. Not cheap, but not as expensive as some of the other stuff, and they tend to hold up well. You just got to put your gun's name in and the product and order the right one. So the advanced technology, what they're learning now with these weapons, it's going to be easier and easier. Smith's always had a good name, but what they did is they looked at where our industry is going. The Glock guys, you're never going to get them to turn away from Glock. They're always going to be Glockies. There's no issue. No, there's no problem with that. That's what they learn. That's what they like. That's what they shoot. But the average student doesn't know the difference between A, B, and C, and D unless they shoot them. And when you shoot one, a Glock versus a Smith, a Glock versus a Ruger, a Glock versus a Taurus, the real difference between all those is in the trigger. And I think the advanced technology on the trigger alone on this weapon makes it such an accurate pistol with a little bit of training. And I'm talking, guys, we do an hour's class with the first student, and the first half, 3, 4, 5 magazines, we got people stacking rounds with this weapon with with I'd like to say it's all me, but it isn't on me. I'm giving them confidence. I'm telling them how to do it, but the student has to engage the trigger right. The student has to control the weapon. But if they do the three things right, they're stacking rounds. And most people come here to the range and don't stack rounds. Even myself, sometimes, guys, I don't stack them. And you know that. I've proven that multiple times in video. Normally, for me, it's when the video camera's on, is when when I'm the worst shooter. Johnny and I, how many videos we've done where you know I do the drill prior to the video just to make sure I've got everything set, sort of like a dry run kind of deal. And then I'll beautiful gunshots. That'll be great. And then the video kicks in, and then I'm doing some kind of left bullshit thing every time. I'm gonna blame it on the camera every time. I'm gonna blame it on that. All right, so Smith and Wesson Equalizer. What else? Affordability, man. I mean, they are in this style. If you're gonna take this weapon, you gotta look at the 43X optic ready. That price is steady in right now. It's coming down, but the MSRP on that is above 600. Um, the um, the Sig 365 XL is gonna be above 600 and 60 or something like that. If you go Hellcat and they're mid-size like this micro mini, they're way above the 650 range. Taurus, Ruger, and all those are a little lower than that. But the MSRP on this equalizer you see right there, and most places are going to have it in their cabinet in locations for a little over half, 550 to 579. This is the first year in about 4 years or 5 years that Smith& and Wesson raised their prices 3.5%, 4%, excuse me, 4% on across the board on all weapons. And that 4% really affected, you know, the price of the gun. We can't take the 3% credit card fee and we can't take a 4% increase and not raise our prices, if that makes sense. But at the end of it, 5 years plus before they went up in prices, and it's still the best buy, the best bargain, the best money wise. Because keep in mind, most manufacturers are coming out with two mag combos. Now, 365 has their carry pack, which is three mags, one in the gun, two in the holster. And then I mean, the Hellcat has their pro pack as well. But for Smith, their average two mags per weapon. So this is a third mag, high capacity. So you're getting that. And that loader is anywhere from retail, anywhere from 32 to 49 wherever you buy that thing. So those two pieces alone are, $75 value just for getting the weapon. And once in a while, Smith is doing a rebate on these things as well. So there's been a lot of it, a lot of technology, a lot of affordability. Something you guys should really look at. This isn't me trying to sell you anything. I'm not trying to sell you this. I'm just trying to educate you on the gun. I cannot sell you something through the internet or anything else like that. So just keep that in mind. And then last but not least is probably the trusted brand. It's Smith& and Wesson. It's been around a long time. It's got a high reputation of excellence in firearms industry. The Equalizers packs backed by decades of innovative and experience. How true is that, man? I mean, you go anywhere and you say anything. We had a couple German couples in, speak very little English, and they asked me what they're coming on Thursday to shoot, and they ask, um, "What are we shooting?" in a broken language, and I said Smith and Wesson and Glock, and they both shook their head like, "Yeah, we know those." And that's the cool thing about that. So it's not like Canic, which Canic's a great product, but some people haven't heard about them. So that's kind of one of those name brand products that you want to stick to. In conclusion, the Smith Wesson Equalizer stands out as a must-have weapon due to exceptional ergonomics, the advanced safety features, the reliability performance, ensuring both accuracy and ease for a shooter of all levels. It's versatile combined with a trusted reputation of Smith& Wesson makes it an invaluable addition to all firearm collections. Thanks for watching, John the Firearms Instructor. Okay, cool, cool. Let's get out of this. Let's go answer some questions if there's any, and we will go from there. Starting up at top. All right, Chris, I'm glad you're here, buddy. Natasha. Ralph says, I have never shot an equalizer. Would love to give it one a try. You should, Ralph. I tell you that. TJ Myers said, this is one of my favorite handguns. Beautiful. Yes, I didn't mention that, but TJ is saying he prefers the non safety model. I don't think I mentioned that, but the equalizer comes in safety and non-safety models. You don't have to worry about that too much. Technically, they all have the backstrap safety, but he's talking about that wall safety that you saw in the pictures. I actually like the non-safety model. I technically show people the safety model in the store because that's what we have. But majority of the time, I sell them the non-safety model because a lot of times people manipulate that safety on accident when they're trying to put their thumbs around the gun, thumbs forward, and everything else. So it's an education for them, and I see this is why we don't want those up there. Guys with bigger thumbs and hands can't get their hands around the gun with that safety being up there as well. So, in my opinion, TJ, the non-safety model is the best choice. So, let's go. TJ just asked another question. Well, appreciate this, TJ. Well, I can tell you there's a lot of different prices that you can go by, but I kind of told you the Crimson Trace RAD in red or green fits that weapon perfectly in the micro finish. It's got to be the micro. You got to make sure you're looking at the right one that's going to go on the equalizer. And then the 407. And I don't know the number exact. I know it's 407, but there's something in front of it, which with that's from Holosun. And those would be my suggestions. I like the Holosun because of the solar capabilities of it now, and it's shake and bake. Both those are shake and bake. So in other words, it's off until you grab a hold to it, then it turns on. If you got to turn the thing on and turn the thing off, you're not going to remember to turn it off in certain situations, and they're going to run that battery down pretty quick. And changing those, most of those ones have to be taken off. The rad does have to be taken off to put a new battery in, where that's why the rad actually has the auto off and auto on, and the hollow sun has the same effect. It's always on, and it sleeps basically until you use it. Not tested it in a holster walking around if it's on or off, but when it sits still for a long period of time, it does shut off. And when the moment you pick it up and go to shoot it, it's on. You don't have to look for it or anything else like that. And Johnny boy, dots could fly off and hit you in the face. This is an inside joke, guys. It happened to John. John knows all the Yes, John, that could happen to you, buddy. I know it's hard for you to believe, John, but that can happen. Listen, all fairness to him, um, that doesn't happen. I mean, it's very unlikely that it happened. Um, that was Natasha's pistol. Natasha probably had shot that thing hundreds and thousands of times, and it just happens, guys. I mean, unfortunately for Johnny, it happened to him that night, and we were concerned about it because he looked like he it knocked the shit out of him. I'll tell you that. When I walked back there, his eyes were crossed, and he was a little afraid. Like he I don't know. You can tell me, John, but it looked like he thought he got hit by a bullet. Is what it seemed like to us. Um, and I know he was a little shaken up by it. And the following week he came in, his head was still sore, so I can imagine that hit him pretty hard. But we love you, Johnny. Don't worry about it, buddy. Shake it off. Rub some dirt in it. You'll be okay. All right. Well, yeah, they do fly off, my friend. It happened to John, so DJ, he's the one that got smacked in the face by it. So it doesn't just happen, but it did happen to him. But he's like me. If it's gonna happen to somebody, it's gonna happen to him. So that's part of that deal. Uh, but I don't know exactly. I don't remember if Tasha had that cut or that was an MOS that she had done. I believe she had that cut. Natasha, you can respond to that if you want to, honey. But with that being cut, maybe it wasn't drilled deep enough for the screws or whatever it was. But that did happen. Um, TJ, thank you very much telling me it's a great video. We appreciate you always making your comments. Uh, the dot advice, that's something you're going to have to really play around with. One thing that Glock did when the first MOSs came out, and Glock was one of those companies that went Crimson Trace, they went the high end Swarovski stuff. So you had a $700 Glock with a $700 red dot on it. I mean, prices have come down tremendously. They it does I'm not like I'm not a red dot guy. I've never been a red dot guy. I see the value in the red dots. After you know how to shoot a pistol, I see the value in using a pistol. Here's how I would do the red dots, and this is kind of obviously a gun store guy talking, okay? I would have two pistols. I would have one with a dot and one without, and they'd be the same freaking pistol. So Glock 19 with a dot, Glock 19 without a dot. Equalizer with a dot, equalizer without a dot. Why? Because I want to be able to shoot both of them and understand both of them because they both are going to shoot different. And you can't tell me you don't shoot those guns different. You do not aim like you do with your sights with a red dot. You tend to get too carried away on trying to focus on the dot and not focusing on the target. It's valuable to focus on the target, not the dot. The dot should be floating on the base, on the target. The moment you start aiming with the dot, you're going to be off all the time because that dot is a focus point, and you need to point that weapon or focus on the target and let the dot float. Similar to what we do with our sight system. We have to put our front post and our back post lined up together, keeping the weapon level, keeping the top of the sights level, and then putting the dot in the appropriate place, hopefully 6 o'clock hole, but somewhere like that, and let that weapon cut, and then let the gun reset into a position which shouldn't be lower than what you're aiming at, but a little higher than what you're aiming at. You could focus back on the target. And there's the challenge of most people with dots is they get too carried away on using the dot to aim with. Here's Johnny saying it again. Most definitely thought I had a major malfunction. Yeah. Yeah, I could see that, Johnny. You did, buddy. You did have a major malfunction. I'll tell you what, I couldn't imagine that probably hurt really, really bad. Has your attorney talked to Natasha yet? Just kidding, Natasha. Just kidding. Obviously, I can tell you that that definitely would not have been something I'd want to see that to anybody. But you can imagine being in a situation where that happened out in a defensive situation. You definitely, definitely would run into a problem there. Again, every sight's on a weapon for what reason? For convenience. If that sight came off, you would just be pointing that weapon and shooting anyways. And 90% of people in high defense situation watch any police, cop, sheriff, high patrolman in a high defense shooting situation. They ain't aiming. They ain't aiming because they can't aim. They've got to just get themselves in a position. They're running forward and shooting backwards. It's just part of that deal, man. Um, we've done the test before, but if you want to try it again, one of the greatest things I can give you and show you what happens in a high defense situation, your body's going to shut off everything it finds or deems unnecessary. So tunnel vision happens because you don't need to be full focused. You just need to be focused on what you see. You know, movability, leverageability, running with a gun. So I want you to try this at home if you get an opportunity. This is going to be one of those things you'll test. And maybe tell me about it. I want you to take the sink. I want you to fill it full of water. I want you to take ice cubes, 10, 12, 15 ice cubes. And I want you to sit that in there. Now I want you to put salt on top of the ice. Make it really super cold. Now I want you to put your hands in that water. And I want you to hold your hands in that water until you basically can't stand it. Now, what I want you to do now is try to rack a slide. Try to load a magazine. Those are things that will be real challenging for you in a situation like that. Your hands will hurt when you rack the slide. Could you load a magazine like that? Most likely, it'd be somewhat challenging, especially if you had a magazine that was stiff or tough. And I'm not talking about using a loader, guys. I'm talking about using your thumbs. So that's one of those things that you can try and it'll show you what happens because especially in a high stress situation, you're just gonna fall back to your lack of your last training thing you did, and that becomes our challenge there. Well, I want to thank each and every one of you for being on this live tonight. We appreciate it very much due to the fact that each week we do this stuff for you guys, and we're glad you're here. If you have an opportunity, I just finished up the next podcast on my journey to the woods, where I'm taking you guys along with me to deer camp this year. And I have going back to the deer woods after 10 years. And we've been doing some scouting and we've been doing a lot of different stuff. And this weekend, we're going to boots on the ground. She's going to come with me, watch the videos while I scout around to find some places to put some of these cellular cameras that I picked up this year. And we're going to do some scouting and try to find that perfect place to uh, be sitting open in the morning of archery season. But until next time, God bless, be safe, and remember, you are your first line defense. Guys, do what you love and love what you do. Time's too short for you not to have fun. Don't take it so seriously, and make sure you tell every one of your loved ones they're important to you and you love them very much. Today's here, tomorrow could be gone. God bless, guys. I love you very much. Thank you. Don't forget to hit subscribe, like, and the bell icon. And every time we upload a video just like this one, you'll be the first to know. Tell a friend, tell a family member. Love you guys. Have a great week. Bye bye.